Good morning, A Plus, and good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, to the regional and international diaspora. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Island Tea. It is the 24th day of February 2026, the start of all things CARICOM here in the Federation. 4 more days before we close out the second month of the year, that's February 2026. The local time, just about 6 minutes after 8. Just to remind you of our numbers in the UK, 0333 440065. In the US, 1718-285-6984. In the US, 1-305-921-4619, or our local number, 466-0989. Just to remind you, we are being simulcast on TVC Channel 40, Facebook as well as YouTube. We are on your FM dial at 98.9 in the FM. Quint, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm trying to be better than yesterday. As I mentioned at the start of the program, before myself and Quint dive into what we have prepared for today, there's a PSA, and the PSA is for the 50th Heads of Government of CARICOM opening ceremony, and it reads as follows. The Government of St. Kitts and Nevis wishes to advise the general public and all attendees of important guidelines for the opening ceremony of the 50th regular meeting of the Conference Heads of Government of CARICOM. The ceremony takes place on Tuesday, February 24th, 2026 at 4 p.m. at the Marriott Dome, Frigate Bay. Please note the following. Parking in and around the Marriott Dome will be restricted. Only authorized vehicles displaying official permits will be allowed to approach the venue. All attendees are required to park at the Frigate Bay lawn, where complimentary shuttle service will transport you to and from the ceremony. All attendees must be seated by 3:30 p.m. Vehicular movement in the vicinity will be restricted from that time until the start of the event. Attendees are reminded to bring their formal invitation, electronic or hard copy, as these must be presented at the entrance. Please arrive early to allow extra time for security screening. We thank you for your cooperation and look forward to your presence at this historic occasion. So there are all the do's and don'ts. So once again, I know our 6:30 is normally 7:30, so be there.
I don't think that should work on a day like today.
Yeah, and since it's by invitation only, I think those folks will try their best to be punctual and on time.
Usually the dignitaries are the ones who are late, though.
Oh, jeez.
Some
You hear
main
me?
official, you know.
You hear me just say, 6:30, 7:30, right? Yeah, listen.
Have you never seen some official thing, and next thing you hear they're waiting for the Prime Minister, or
All the
they're
time.
waiting for the Governor General, or, yeah?
All the time. Almost all the time, but this is not the case. That everybody will be on time to start the CARICOM meetings that run until the 27th. Remember, today also is the commissioning of the desalination plant. So for those of you wishing to attend, once you're allowed to go in, you should go and attend, get your information firsthand. At 8:30, we have Weekly Dose. I know Dr. Osborne is back, and she is ready to once again enlighten us, educate us, and keep us on the right road when it comes to our health. And today's topic is just a touch of sugar. So you have to stay tuned to find out what the touch of sugar is about. So Quint, as we begin our day today.
We have a caller.
Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on Island Tea. Good morning.
Good rising, guys. Good rising to the listeners. Quinton Potencia. You know,
Yeah,
I
good
reflect back on my days when I was at preschool.
What?
At the age of 12, I remembered when the Queen visited St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay.
The headmaster of the school, it was Trinity School at Palmetto Point. All the children would come outside and we would wave as the Queen passed. We would wave. We all get excited.
Mm-hmm.
And we all that's excited is that the Queen was passing. The Queen of England was passing. Now, there's a mixed feeling from the taxi association, from young people on a whole with this visit of the Secretary of State. Now, for those, who are benefiting from this, in terms of economics, the taxi drivers, the designated taxi drivers who were assigned, the way they see this is like, okay, they're getting income. It's a form of income, but the message and the visit of Secretary of State, it hasn't dawned on these people. It's almost like they're not even aware of Mark Rubio's speech in Germany. And the young people on a whole, Quinton Potencia, they're not concerned. Our young people are not concerned. This thing means nothing to them. Now, I'm not that old. I'm not that old, guys. I'm in my early 50s.
Okay.
And there's so much that I didn't know when I was in school.
Journey, for the younger people, you're very old. You're very old for the younger people, and me, I'm practically like a dinosaur.
No.
So, yeah.
I know, because somebody taught me being 44 is old.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
I engaged with some government workers yesterday, and I asked if they know why the destroyer is at the port. When some of them responded that they didn't even know. I mean, let me ask you guys a question, your opinion. Do you think that our Prime Minister has been compromised?
I don't think we can go so far as to say, because we're not sure.
Yeah, I
We'll
will
have
say.
to wait and see how it plays out. But we can't
I
pre-
saw a clip of someone yesterday basically saying that. I won't say who. They basically say he's a pawn in all of this. Yeah. So.
Well, let's see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Everybody who is interested is going to be waiting to hear the outcome of this.
Yeah.
And also,
But
another interesting thing is whether or not Marco Rubio will actually sit in when the heads of government have their personal conference. That's another thing. There are those who are saying he has been invited, but invited to sit in with, We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, but it's not just about the Prime Minister is the head of CARICOM, yes, and we're hosting this event, but it's all of us now. This is about Caribbean leaders in position.
Hold a second. There's another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning to you guys, man. And
You wanna let Journey continue or what?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Journey.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Quinton Potencia, and rising to you, Burl.
Thanks, man. Same to you.
It's all eyes are on the Caribbean right now, and we are looking for result. We're looking for result from Caribbean leaders and our Prime Minister. I don't want to say what my feelings are, because I'm looking at certain bodies.
I saw a post from my family in the UK, right? And it was like, is it true that there's a warship in the harbor of St. Kitts Nevis? And then another one says, the U.S. is out of hand. They're overdoing this thing, and so.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a moment for us to be, like I always say, our reality is our realization. We know what is at stake, and these people, I would say, the very fact that this destroyer is at our port, they're making a statement. And Venezuela with Maduro is not the end. It's the beginning of what they intend to do. And we're seeing it play out. And it is time for our leader, our politicians, to pay attention to what is at stake. I've been saying it is them or us, and they are of war while we are of life. And they're telling us, Rubio's speech in Berlin is reminding the Europeans what they did. And because, like I said, 1619 to 2019 was 400 years of bondage. And that's why they gave us COVID. But you see, we are still sleeping, guys. We are still fast asleep because we don't recognize that they use words and figures on us. I mean, what's the theme for this CARICOM conference? What's the theme, Scott? Can you remind me again?
Beyond words, action today for a thriving, sustainable CARICOM.
Yeah, beyond words.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond words, and you see how big. I mean,
Don't forget on the line journey. At
okay,
8:30
yeah,
we
I'll
have.
let Burl come in.
Okay, thank you.
You know, it's very ironic Journey asked about the theme because that was one of my first questions. What's the theme of these meetings? And I mean, if you like politics, you would probably be enthusiastic about these meetings this week in St. Kitts. But we small, but we are on the world stage now. No, we St. Kitts Nevis no more is isolated. And I just wanted to ask the questions. Did the Secretary of State, did he come with any type of intentions of building any real partnerships? Did he come with any U.S. aid, or he just came with a briefcase full of demands? And why is that ship in the harbor?
Logistics.
Yeah, we got that. But is the USA our head of government? I mean, where's the British in all of this?
You're asking for the British?
British had their own problems.
I mean, sometimes you amaze me, Burl.
Yeah, but I mean, are we still we could be the British, and the British, they're still our head of state, aren't they?
Well, I thought
But
you.
let's move away.
I thought you want.
Let me move
I
away
want. Oh well, okay then. Yeah.
Let me move away from that because it's gonna kill the time. But anyway, still, man, we welcome them to St. Kitts Nevis, and we look for solutions after these meetings. And so some of the leaders that I'm particularly going to be paying attention to, yeah, the Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister. I understand she's going to have a private meeting with Marco Rubio. The chairman, the current chair, our Prime Minister, Marco Rubio himself, and maybe Mia Motley and Deacon Mitchell. Her friend Ali as well, if he's going to be there. Yeah. But we just.
I would have thought that perhaps the more relevant theme should have been something that speaks to the what is the word I'm looking for? When you have control of your own
sovereignty.
The sovereignty and unity of the sovereignty and unity of the Caribbean.
Unity, definitely, for sure. That's on a good line there, Quinn. But I'm optimistic a little bit, but I just want to wait and see where the meetings are gonna go and what kind of solutions we're gonna have coming out of these meetings. And I hope the media will bring the information forward. And, we'll wait and watch and see what happens, man. And I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you for your contribution, as always. Yeah, we just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's all we can do.
Yeah. We can't suggest.
Yeah, it makes no use to really speculate because we don't know.
I just saw something here. The Honorable Kamla Bazad says here was accompanied by ministers and officials at the airport as she departed to represent the people of Trinidad and Tobago on the regional stage, wishing her a productive and successful engagement as she continued to work in the nation's interest. And I saw an article, former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, that's Prime Minister Rowley, and to show you how our human side gets into things at times. He's a Tobagonian, right? And mind you, the opposition is now in Tobago. So not his people, the opposition. So he inherited farming from his parents. So he still have chicken, pigs, etc., etc. Now, the ferry that runs in between has some problems, so they're not getting supplies over like feed and whatever they need. So I said, boy, this must be a world thing happening or a Caribbean thing. So he can't get his feed and stuff, his animals, so he's quite concerned. Then the opposition says he's gonna dig up Rowley's navel string and throw it over in Trinidad.
You mean the incumbent?
The one that's in now, yeah.
Yeah.
Said he's gonna dig up his navel string and throw it over in Trinidad. I mean, the man's from Tobago. How low can we get? I really think we let the humans get the best of us.
I think it's things like those why we can't really find Caribbean unity. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good, Dave.
Yeah, I just can't with us, yes. So they're struggling, and even farmers are struggling to get their produce over to Trinidad to sell, so their stuff is wasting away as well. So it's like every country has its own issues, and sometimes the issues resemble each other. We have a caller?
No.
Oh, okay. So we can, it's 22 minutes after, so we have 3 more minutes.
Okay,
to play
we now
with.
have a caller.
Okay, caller, go ahead. You're live on
Good
Island
morning.
Tea. Hi, morning. You sound like you're enjoying the snow still.
Yesterday I wanted to mention about, I don't know if you saw this thing on social media. We are in Jamaica. 2 ladies had a disagreement.
Oh, and one was lit on fire?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So maybe that could be a topic for, if not later in the week, because I know Carrie I'm going to take off the focus maybe. But I just thought I would bring that to the fore.
But I'm not condoning anything, but why would you go to somebody's work to pick trouble?
Yeah, because all on social media, right? They were saying that the lady, they had a disagreement before. There was some people, they were saying it was over a man.
Oh, jeez.
But then I saw another clip where they say it was something where the victim, the born victim, went to assist somebody with some change. However, the girl went back and took back her sister a second time. And that's when the girl retaliated and down to gasoline and lighter. So it's a kind of complicated case, but I mean, nobody gonna call to buy nobody work. I think she called that on herself. Everybody got their own view, but I just thought I would bring it up because it concerns women. And since they're saying it's over a man, so I thought it was worthy of a debate.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, thank you for bringing that to the fore. Maybe we can debate later.
Yeah, that's what I said, because then Carrie come going to take all the focus.
No, come. We have weekly dose. Yeah, weekly doses soon. Yeah.
Okay, then.
All right, Granny, thank you. But yeah, that's a ticklish one. I mean, you have issues with somebody, don't go on their work.
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave you women to discuss.
No, but you don't work and cause problems for yourself. And I mean, the lady should have exercised a bit more control, because that was somebody and didn't like them. That's crazy. I don't
that's
think
sad though.
Yeah, I didn't think she thought in the moment, and it's an ex-woman. So we have to. Sometimes as women we have to control our emotions a bit more. So I wish she had just maybe go inside and tell her boss what's happening, and not taken that road, because where are you gonna end up? Nowhere but jail. You have children out there. Guess what? If it's over a fella, he gonna find somebody else. He ain't coming over there to visit you unless he really, really stuck to you. He's gonna find somebody else.
That is usually the case.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yes, I'll take that. Because I don't want them to say I'm just picking up for the ladies. But that's horrendous. I don't condone anything, but I still say both of them should have exercised wisdom. She should not have gone to the workplace, and the other one should have taught to do something better than dousing her in the gasoline and lighting her fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
so she went to the girls' workplace, and then the girls whose workplace she went to douse her with
the gasoline and
lit
lighter,
her
which
fire.
is because it's a gas station she went to. Yeah. So yeah, it's horrendous.
Wow.
But wisdom, every day you wake up, ask Jesus for it. None of us are immune to problems.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hello, caller. Bear in mind that you're going to have to be very brief.
Morning, guys. Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
Good time yourself.
I'm good. No, Contentia, the thing that you're talking about, saying that the gas lady attendant should have more self-control. Yeah, but from what they said, that she was actually being attacked
Yeah,
with a knife.
yeah, but I mean, try to run, Cleo. I understand, but even okay, do it in the where it would have distracted that person, but not light. Oh my gosh, that could have been her life and everybody else's life that was around that area. You understand?
But at the time when you're being attacked, Contentia, your mind is survival. You don't care how you survive. Your mind is survival.
So you're not.
I'm thinking about that if she's being attacked.
I understand, but still, though, Cleo, she could have died too. Because what if it had spilled? Remember, she's the one that was in the gas. Remember, she probably had residual gas on her too. What if the fire had caught to her too? So we have to.
Hi,
But
Ella.
you see, it goes to show.
Hi, Ella.
Morning.
This is your cousin.
How are you? I know. Once you say Ella, ain't nobody know me as Ella. Well, other people.
How are you, my dear?
How are you?
We
I'm
always
good, I'm
have to
good, and
practice
you?
self-control. One of the things that I realize that we're not doing, we have to learn the art of de-escalation. Because sometimes we are so emotional and there's so much regrets afterwards. So we have to really work on our skills in de-escalating some of these confrontations and learning to walk
if
away.
you realize, what I've realized is people are very angry. People, the world are just angry.
Yeah.
And yes, we have to have control emotion, but at the time when you're going to, if I'm being attacked, your first thought is defense, survival. and sometimes too, you know, when you look at the person that was set on fire, all that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, she caught on herself too.
She went there a couple days before. There was confusion. The manager runner, from what they say, and the day of the incident, for what her daughter said. Because the story that her daughter gave.
Anyway,
where she's
Cleo,
saying,
Cleo.
We don't go on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. The finish.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
You too.
Okay, so we'll take that bit of a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Found the sound 98.9.
If you TD piece of you're always safe with us.
Magnum, my brand. Everybody put your Magnum now. From you a drink Magnum, let me see. Take charge at the place now. From the reach to the street. And tell me sweet. Look at me. Time check. Enjoy at the week with the Magnum. My life I forget sweeter. Must be 18 years and older to drink responsible.
Caribbean numbers come and play. Just $1 single, that is the way. You can pick one number or two or three. I win up to 20,000, you see. 3 ways to play, 3 draws a day, 3 ways to win. Hear what we say. Caribbean numbers is the easiest game to play.
The new Caribbean numbers.
So play today.
At any Caribbean lottery agent island-wide.
So play today.
Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Or DIY project, we're here to. That's why we say, build with us from foundation to finish. Come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're Just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hosford's.
Here are your Hosford Value Mart IGA Blue Tag Special.
Running February 19th to March 4th.
Hunt spaghetti sauces are just $5.99. Progressive soups, $13.99. Essential everyday chunk and shredded cheeses, $7.99. La yogurt, $3.39. Blue bunny ice cream, just $25.99. IGA or essential everyday waffles, $11.99.
Hello, our value deals. IGA and essential everyday honey beer, $19.99. Chef Boyardee canned pasta and microwave pasta, $6.99. IGA and essential everyday canned tuna, $3.49. Langus cranberry and pomegranate juices, $11.99. Soft soap liquid hand soap, $8.99. Irish Spring bar soap, $11.99. Shop Smart, Shop Value Mart. Tell them in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí en Value Mart.
Hey, shop smart, shop Value Mart.
As promised, we are back on a weekly dose. Okay, phone, work for me. And good morning and welcome to Weekly Dose. I'm your host. Well, everybody knows the name by now, Cortez. An issue that affects almost every family in our community. Today's topic is a touch of sugar, as I mentioned, and I didn't tell you anything else. So, yes, a touch of sugar, diabetes, and why it has become a major health crisis. Joining us today is Dr. Natalie Osborne. Welcome, Doctor.
Hi, good morning, Hortensia. You and I haven't been across from each other in a while. Sugar, we're patients often come into the office and so say, and I said, you have any health issues, any health condition, diabetes, high blood pressure? No, I have a touch of sugar, and I never understood what it means. You just have a touch of sugar. And I'm wondering sometimes, is it that persons are in denial, persons are not really ready to accept, and so it's kind of nonchalant, kind of laissez-faire. I have a touch of sugar, and that's why it inspired me for us to. And before you continue, Hortensia, because these inspirations are linked. So, a brief story: a patient, 50 plus, and she comes and sees me, and she's losing weight, okay, but she quite knows that she's diabetic. She had the touch of sugar, and she said, "Doc, this morning, right, and last night I had sugar and a Coke, and she loves Coke." She ended telling me she did not take her blood pressure, her blood sugar medication the morning. So I checked her blood glucose level, and it was 333. So it was way above the normal, which is up to 125. So she now has her blood sugars are uncontrolled. And her presenting complaint to me at that particular time was that she feels this pressure or tightness in her feet, and it just makes her have like this restless legs, and she's unable to sleep. That's what we call that glove and stocking, because the nerves are being damaged by this uncontrolled blood sugars and this touch of sugar. And she kept talking about it, and I kept telling her the weight loss is because your blood sugars are uncontrolled, they're elevated, and you're having all of these nerve damage and stuff. So this is why you're having this. And I had a hard time trying to convince her that she needs to make some dietary change. I had to go as far as calling her daughter so I could talk to her in her presence so that we can appeal to her. The daughter said all of these conversations she would have had with her at some point or the other, and the mother just continues in her ways. And at the end of the consultation,
she then asked me, well, you're not going to give me anything for the tightness in the feet. But we know that that is a result of the uncontrolled blood sugar. What happens, that elevated blood sugar is destroying the nerves and the outer layer of the nerves, so the nerves become exposed, and you have that shooting pain, that discomfort, that tingling. We call it that glove and stocking, very characteristics of persons with long-term diabetes. So that touch of sugar, it was inspired by that patient who was very resistant to accepting the change that are needed in terms of managing her blood sugars.
Oh boy, I would add to that, but I'll just let us dive right into it. When people hear diabetes, they often think it's common and manageable, as you mentioned before. Why do you call it a healthcare crisis?
Yeah, it's a healthcare crisis because high blood pressure, these are two of the most important non-communicable diseases, meaning that you can catch them from anyone. Yeah. And these are the two diseases that leads to a lot of the healthcare crisis. So talk about diabetes as a healthcare crisis because it leads to heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, amputations. Most of our individuals in our community have limb loss or loss of toes or partial amputations because of the diabetes. That's the leading cause of having these injuries. And we're realizing that persons are becoming diabetic earlier and earlier now.
How early, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we have type 2 or type 1 diabetes. We usually call type 1 juvenile, or that occurs in early ages. Persons, young children are born and having diabetes. Type 1 is when you are going to be insulin dependent because your pancreas, which is the organ that produces the insulin, lacks the cells and no insulin is produced. Most commonly, though, throughout the world is diabetes type 2, and I'm happy that you asked that. And we are seeing more and more increase of diabetes type 2, and that is acquired over time because of our diet. As we get older, there's destruction to these cells. Because if you keep beating something or demanding that this produces more and more insulin because of how we eat, eventually that motor, that system can break, and that's what happened. So then the pancreas is not working as effectively as it once did, so it needs support. And most of these patients with type 2 diabetes can then use some kind of oral medication, or they might need insulin. Okay.
Oh boy. So is this something we're seeing locally as well?
Of our community, okay, and many people know sometimes. I've seen patients who come with significant weight loss and they start to pass a lot of urine, and initially they think that they may have some kind of bad disease like a cancer. And then when you recognize that their blood sugars are elevated, because if you're not producing enough insulin is important, so it pushes the glucose or the sugars into the cell where they can be used for energy. But if there is no energy, you start losing weight because your body is going to use up the energy that is there so that your organs and you can survive. And so one of the most common symptoms is that the person start losing weight, significant weight. They're peeing a lot, even though they're eating a lot, they still keep losing this weight.
Oh boy. So it's not just a personal issue, it is a public health issue. Oh boy.
We know how expensive hearing for diabetic patients are, and Quinn stayed with me here too. Imagine, because it affects not only you, it's going to affect the family, it's going to affect the community, it's going to affect the healthcare institution. You lose a limb, you're unable to work. You would have had to spend extra time in the hospital, resources that are involved in that. Then you need caregivers, okay? Or you may need to do renovations or reconstruction at the house, because now you need a wheelchair access. So there's several things persons have to do because now they would have had this disease and the complications. What if now your kidney fails? Dialysis is very expensive. You have to live in close to a center where there's a dialysis, because you have to go 3 times a week on average. And so all of these compounds and the entire family and community is affected.
Wow. Let's talk numbers for a moment. How widespread is diabetes?
Well, from a global perspective, Hortensia, more than now, as of 2022, more than 830 million persons are living with diabetes. And that's an increase from in the 1990s, where there were about 200 million persons. So we've seen a significant increase in persons living with diabetes, especially in middle and low-income communities. You know, middle and low-income communities are always affected by these conditions. So, leading cause, as we say, of having heart disease, kidney failure, amputations of the lower limb. And in 2021, diabetes was responsible for 1.6 million deaths globally. Think about that. Diabetes and its complications. And we're not talking about any cancers, anything else, diabetes alone. So in the United States, approximately 38.4 million persons have diabetes. That represent at least 11.6% of the population, okay? And the persons who are still undiagnosed with diabetes. And we have an increase of diabetes with age. Of course, 29% of those over the age 65 are more affected, but we're also seeing younger persons that are being more and more diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Wow. And boy, when I think about low income, I think they have to buy all the, I'm going to say it, bad foods. Yes.
Because it's easier, it's accessible, more accessible.
It works with their budget.
It works with their budget. It works with their time, because some of these persons who are lower income, we have to exchange time for money, so they're working longer hours, they have 2 or 3 jobs, they're not going to have much time to meal prep, etc., etc., but we can do better.
Oh, wow. What's most concerning about these statistics, Doc?
Well, the biggest concern is that even though we have the data, because it is so common, we start to think of it like any other random thing, and we do not realize the health impact that it has and the complications. Because it is so common, persons start to disregard it. And it becomes a casual conversation. And it's an everyday choice that one would have to make. Also, many persons are going undiagnosed for long periods of time. So then what happens ultimately, Hortensia and Quinn, is that persons come in with complications as a result of these diabetes, okay?
Oh boy. So who is at risk for diabetes? We already said younger folks.
Yeah. But mostly who is at risk for diabetes? Persons who have a family history.
Okay.
There is a strong family correlation of diabetes. Persons who are and or obese. All right? So most of us know about that. Persons who are physically inactive. No one wants to walk anymore. You want to drive the way that you're going.
3 jobs.
Who have poor dietary habits, we know that. Especially we eat a lot of refined sugars and carbohydrates. So all the starchy foods, the buns, the cakes, the sugar cakes, the roll, we gravitate to that. And if bread is the thing is there, he wants to have access to bread at all time. Yes. Weekends, everybody to the reason. Remember, those breads, when broken down in the body, they're converted to sugar. And that sugar is then needs a lot of insulin for it to break down and for it to be stored. So have high blood pressure as well, are at risk to having diabetes. It is seen often in our community, the black community, where you have both diabetes and hypertension. And then at high cholesterol, your risk increases. And in gestational diabetes, women who have diabetes during their pregnancy, they're at increased risk of having diabetes long term and in age. So the your risk of developing type 2 diabetes, although we're seeing diabetes appear in younger and younger adults.
Okay, can someone, as you said, sometimes we don't see the sign, but can someone look healthy and still have diabetes?
Like pressure, you can't just look and say that somebody has diabetes, okay? Initially, these persons can look quite fine. But if it continues without being addressed, they're going to start losing significant weight, these persons. All right, as they're going to be presenting, Doc, I'm losing weight, I'm scared, I'm wondering what's going on. We start doing the workup, you realize that their blood sugars are very elevated. They start peeing quite a lot. All right, and no matter what they eat, they're not gaining back the weight.
Oh boy. So what symptoms should people watch out for?
Well, we kept talking. Frequent urination, that is a hallmark sign of having diabetes. You're drinking as much, but you pee so much, constantly having to go to the restroom. And you're thirsty, of course, because you're peeing excessively. So you're drinking quite a lot. And you're hungry constantly. Okay? But you're not gaining any weight because, yet again, your body is not able to process those calories and that sugar. And that unexplained loss, you're tired. Oftentimes, persons can present, and their first main symptom can be blurred vision, that you're having difficulty seeing, okay? Or you develop a wound, and you realize that wound is not healing well, and that might be the light bulb that goes off in your healthcare provider's mind that something might be wrong, and then you realize the person has diabetes.
And Doc, some people have no symptoms at all.
Yeah. So we talk about who may have no symptoms until a complication arises. We've had patients come to the hospital in a crisis, health crisis, and have lost them, where we call that diabetes ketoacidosis, where the blood sugars are so high. The body can't use the glucose because the brain needs the glucose, so it starts using another substance that's called ketones, and that is where the problem comes in. And the person coming in respiratory distress, they're fatigued, they're tired, and if not addressed quickly, we can lose some of these patients. So they can come in with complications. They can present with a severe infection leading to amputation of a toe. Because they may not have known, they don't know that they're diabetic. They get stuck with a nail or something, and they stay at home nursing it themselves, and it doesn't get better, and then they present with an infection of the foot.
Oh boy. I remember my dad one time, he's an amputee. He came over with a tack in his foot and he didn't know. And we were like, my mom had to say, you have a tack in your foot? And he'd be like, no, I don't. You have something in your foot, because he couldn't feel anymore.
Katensa, that's an excellent point that you brought that up, because one of the things we talk about is nerve damage in diabetes. So the individual do not feel that the tack is there. The tack could have gone through his shoe and gone right into his foot. Oftentimes persons, there was a particular lady years ago who presented and she had a whole toothpick in her foot.
What?
Because of the severe, we call nerves are damaged and you're not feeling. And going to be important why you have to inspect your feet or have a family member inspect your feet so that they can draw any attention if there are any changes as early as possible.
So how is diabetes diagnosed?
It's quite from the symptoms that you have and the risk factors a person may have. You just want to check their blood sugars. You could have a fasting blood sugar, you could have a random blood sugar, you just take it. And once you have certain numbers, you could almost be certain that person is diabetic. And then you do other screening tests. But it's a simple test. You could just use your glucometer or that little glucose machine. You see somebody presents with you, right? And their blood sugars is 250, 300. Yeah, you can say, well, this person is diabetic. And then you can do other screening tools that could help you confirm and add. But then with numbers like that, you can almost automatically know that the person is diabetic. And there's another tool that you're quite aware of, the hemoglobin A1C, that tells you how your body is managing the blood sugars over a 3-month period. So, for example, Caltensia, you come to see me and you want to trick me, quote unquote, trick me. You take blood sugar medication that morning. So when I check it, it seems normal. But when we have the hemoglobin A1C, it would be abnormally high because you wouldn't be managed over that period of time.
So you can't go trick the doctor. Don't do it, folks. Don't do it. You know, like how some of us have to take a blood test and we drink the most water in the world? Yeah. Physicians, please. How should people be screened?
Well, it is important to understand that if you have any of these risk factors, you know, when you go checking in with your doctor, you have your annual blood workup. That's would be an indicator, and they do a hemoglobin A1C, that could be an indicator, especially as we get older. But if we have symptoms in a younger person, that is one of the quickest tools you can do. Just check the blood sugar and see how it is. So you always want to check in so that you know your numbers.
Okay, let's talk about treatment. Is diabetes treatable?
Well, most of our audience know that, but oftentimes we're constantly in fight with our patients. Why? Because they're thinking that if they use certain bushes and they use some of these herbal stuff, they'll be fine. I study traditional medicine, and I'm a believer. I know health and nutrition is an important part, and that is one of the important factors. You would have to change your diet, eat a diet which in healthy vegetables, low in carbs, okay? That diet is going to be very important. You want your whole grains, your nuts and stuff like that. You want to get physical activity, exercise. We're not exercising enough, and all of us are guilty about it, okay? 30 minutes a day. If you can even get 3 days a week where you do some form of physical activity. And people have to tell me, Doc, I have a job. I said, that's not enough. Your body is already accustomed to that. You have to do more exertion where your heart rate would increase, where you sweat some so you could get the benefit of that. But most of us do not do any physical activity or limited physical activity. And you've got to manage your weight. So your weight is going to be managed mostly by what you put in your mouth. 90% of weight loss is diet. People think that they can eat and run to the gym. It's not going to work like that, because you're going to burn, let's say, 800 calories, but the slice of cheesecake that you ate was 400, and then the chicken wing was 600 calories. So then your input is still greater than your output. For us to lose weight, our input has to be less than our output. And so the best way to lose weight is always to diet, of course, with physical activity supplemented, and cut back on your calories, choose healthier foods. And you want medication. There's no evidence for us not to take our medications. Please, individuals who are hearing us, so that we can avoid the complications that come with this diabetes. So it's simple. You're either going to take the medication now, or we're going to deal with the complications down the road, either the amputation, the point that a limb needs to be amputated. Quint, we have so much problems with the individual and the family. Oh, all you want to do is cut off the limb. But we say now in that term, the game. Yeah, but no, we have lost time, and the damage is there now. Okay, and so you don't have any choice, and then the family member or the individual is heartbroken. I've seen persons self-discharge from the institution, and they went home because they refused to have the amputation, and then they come back where they're septic, and you still need to do the amputation. So if we stay ahead by taking our medication, exercising, we can do better. We can have an extended life and have less complications associated with diabetes.
What is being septic?
Oh, I'm happy that you asked that, because in my wondered if the audience would understand that. Means that you have an infection, and that infection and bacteria gets into your blood, and that creates havoc. Okay? And that can go into what we call septic shock and die. Okay? Where the blood is not circulating as much, the heart have to work extra hard, and it creates a lot of havoc, because that bacteria gets into your blood and it affects all of your organs. It's going to affect your liver, it's going to affect your heart, it's going to affect your kidney.
In my dad's case, his bones were falling apart, and the doctor had to tell him it's traveling up. You're septic already. So what you're going to do? Because you're basically poisoning your system, because he didn't want to part with his foot. He said, let me die. But he parted with the limb, and he's still alive.
Yeah.
He turned 70 last year, so I'm grateful for that part. But my dad was very adamant that he was going to keep what he wants to keep, which was his leg, but he doesn't have it any longer. So is insulin a sign of failure for folks like me that have to take insulin morning and night?
No. Persons resist going on insulin, all right, Cortensia. Sometimes people are afraid of needles. They don't think that they're going to be able to survive administer this drug, but it's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that maybe as you get older as well, the pancreas is no longer producing enough insulin to the point where the oral medication is not going to be adequate. Medication is supposed to stimulate the pancreas and help it to produce more insulin and help work like that. But if there's no insulin there, because most of the cells are destroyed, what happens? You may have to inject insulin. It's not really a sign of failure. It's just that with time, the disease can progress. And especially in persons, younger persons who have what we call type 1 diabetes, they may have to use insulin from the get-go because their cells are destroyed. They're producing very little or no insulin at all. So they may need that. So it's not a sign of failure.
Okay. We talk about this over and over, but let's remind them again. What happens when diabetes is not controlled?
Okay, if I can't get them to listen, I'm going to skip. If you don't control your blood sugars, it's going to lead to heart attacks and stroke.
Bigly.
We have to realize that we are losing our people by conditions that can be prevented. It's going to lead to kidney failure. Most of us in our community are still uninsured, and dialysis is extremely expensive. And so that vision loss. We've got lots of persons in our community who are visually impaired, have lost their vision because of the diabetes. Nerve damage.
Attacking the foot.
Yes, foot ulcers and amputation. First it starts with a toe, and then you come back, there's a second toe. And you're constantly being encouraged and advised, and sometimes persons don't listen. I saw a patient, and I asked, what were you wearing? I said, are those shoes she was wearing? She came into the office, a cute little pair of socks or something. She said, it's very comfortable. And I advised her, you cannot walk around in those. You're diabetic, okay? And a piece of glass can break through that and get into your foot and create a problem. I made her aware of that, and she was receptive. But she wore them because it was comfortable. So once she got to the office door, she came out of the car, and she just came in. But I said the floors may have different particles, okay? And so we have to be very careful.
We have to be very careful, boy. Prevention is better than cure, as we say. Oh, boy. So these are life-changing complications, and, okay.
Many of them are preventable, Cartensia. We spoke about that before. If we control our blood sugars, we can not have these complications. There are persons who are living with diabetes who are doing quite well. And you may not know because they're disciplined with their diet, they take their medication, and they have a normal, active life. But if not so, you choose the path of denial, not taking your medication, or eating wrong, or eating these foods that are high in sugars and
But
stuff.
why is it that we gravitate to foods that are high in sugar? Very well known it's not good for us. What about it that... Go ahead, you're live on Weekly Dose.
Okay, good morning again. Questions for the doctor. Let me ask a question. Salt and sugar, are they equalizers of each other?
Like eating something with salt and eating something with sugar?
Like you're cooking, and the pot is too salt, or the pot coming out sweet. Or the pot is too salt, and people throw sugar inside the pot, right, to equalize it out. Does salt and sugar, does it work like that in the body?
No, definitely no. I'm talking about to kind of take some of the saltiness, you have some sugar in the pot, but it doesn't work like that in the human body. No, it's not. Because you can have both of them. You can have high pressure, pressure and sugar. And yeah, these is the conditions is high blood pressure, and there are lots of different contributing risk factors, and diabetes, which will have a lot of contributing factors.
So I was gonna go down the alley of somebody get the touch of sugar, would they increase their salt intake? That's where I was going down that line. And the touch of sugar, right? Somebody get the touch of sugar. I know Cartensia asked about treatment, but is it ever like cured, like reversible?
Okay.
And then another question is, when you get to the point where you got to amputate, right? Is this such a sugar confined to that one area, and why is it confined to that one area and not you got it's an infection of the whole body, right? So why is it concentrated? Why you have to come to the decision to amputate a toe or a leg or a hand? I mean, is it concentrated just in that area or what? And then I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Okay, well, he asked several questions.
Yeah.
Let's see if I remember them. Okay, that analogy of the sugar in the pot and the salt in the pot is not, we'll put that aside. That is not
That's a no.
How it works in the human body. He asks about...
if you have sugar, if you can intake more salt.
No, no, because we know that as a risk factor for diabetes is hypertension, or as a risk factor for hypertension. So these two kind of goes together and can worsen each other, okay? We often find in our community, the blacks, we often have persons with diabetes and hypertension going hand in hand. And they can each worsen the other, leading to some of the same complications like the heart disease, like the strokes, like the kidney damage, the visual impairment, okay? He also asks about can diabetes be cured? It can be managed and managed well, but I don't want anyone to think that you're going to be cured. You're going to be having to deal with it for a lifetime. There's certain persons, because of their discipline and because of how they are, they can manage it with diet and with exercise. And these are the really disciplined patients. Most of us are not going to fall into that category. And even as we get older, as we said, the cells in the pancreas that are responsible for producing the insulin, they get damaged, destroyed. The same way we're aging. I'm having gray hair now. I'm no longer as young as I used to be. I'm saying that our cells are aging too. Our body is not functioning as it once was. So then we may have the need for these medications. So it's not going to be cured. It can be managed. A pump at the bottom of the hill, right? And the pump is turned off, the water pump. Who's affected most? The persons at the top of the hill that are furthest away from the pump.
Yeah.
The pump in this instant is our heart. Our limbs are the furthest away from the heart. And what happens in diabetes, so let's make sure our audience get it clearly, the blood vessels are destroyed. And so as we go further and further away from the heart to the limbs, the blood vessels become narrower, okay, and those blood vessels are destroyed. And so what happens when the toes becomes darkened or black or they become gangrenous or dead is because enough blood supply is not going there. So a person gets a wound or a cut. You need good blood supply so that it can help with healing. Remember, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, Doc, I have an infection. And I'm going to give you antibiotics. But if there is not adequate enough blood supply, the antibiotics are not going to get down to that area because the blood vessels are narrowed, they're destroyed. And so even though we're pouring in the antibiotics, it's not getting into the area. Oxygen is not getting to the area. Nutrients is not getting to those areas. And so because the limbs, the feet is furthest from the heart, they're the ones who are most affected by this diabetes.
So the sugar is not concentrated in that one area?
No, remember the sugar is circulating in the entire body. But because the sugar itself is not going to cause a problem, the sugar, what the sugar actually does is destroy your nerves and the blood vessels. Okay, and the nerves and blood vessels that are most affected are those in your limbs. It affects all of them, you know. That's how we get heart disease, because it starts affecting the nerves and the blood vessels in the heart. It affects the nerve and the blood vessels in the kidneys. But why the limbs, the feet are affected most is because they're furthest away from the heart. Okay, and you're walking on your feet. You can get injured easily, okay? The upper limbs, like our hands and our upper limbs, they have a richer blood supply, okay? Because they're closer to the heart. And so they tend to be less affected, all right? I hope we got most of his questions.
I think we did.
Okay. So this sugar diabetes, it can't balance. So if you have high blood sugar, you can't go and eat salty food to balance it out. It doesn't work like that. Quick, any comments from you?
Well, as usual, I'm learning, you know, I look forward to when you come here so that I can learn from the medical aspects and about the body. That's all I can do. So thank you for being here and for enlightening us. Yeah.
I pour my heart into this.
Let me also say that I think this month is going to end, so I think next month I'm going to be on holidays.
Okay.
So I won't be in for 2 weeks, I think
Okay.
it is, or thereabouts. So
Okay. We'll miss you as usual. But why we spend so much time talking about this? Because I'm a general surgeon. You may say this is really not my wheelhouse, but I'm telling you, a nurse told me this is a thankless job. A nurse told me this is a thankless job, and we all recognize it.